Night Attack is brought to you by all of our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/Night Attack. Subscribe today to get the pre-show and after-show early. Also, a big thank you to Doghouse Systems for powering this show and our stream. Get yourself a free SSD when you get a computer over at Doghouse at doghousesystems.com/v/rogue and use promo code ROGUE at checkout. Here's what happened last time on Night Attack, episode 320.
You know what? Who loves smooths? Criminals, and people who write songs about smooth criminals and pedophiles.
Is Bryce a smooth criminal?
Okay. People hate this.
Bryce.
People hate this.
People hate this. They hate it.
Dying of fire.
I asked you, how could you fall asleep going to pee? And you just said, I was really sleepy. Checkmate. You want to know what?
Oh my God! Oh my God! Start the show! Oh, hello, you beautiful bastards, you demon hordes of the internet. It is Tuesday night, and that means it has got to be go time for Night Attack, live from the newly minted Diamond Club Studios, deep in the heart of the 7 Acres Wood, located smack dab on the Austin city limits. I'm Brian Brushwood, joined as always by my BFF and OAK. It's J.R.Y. Justin Robert Young. Hot damn, ICU, crushing it.
I mean, like, we have been blessed as Night Attack because we used to, back in the day, we had the entire internet to give us things, right? We always used to start the show, an NSFW show, with a viral video. A bountiful and unextinguishable harvest for which we would hand select only the best.
Cherry pick. Basically, we were standing on the shoulders of other content creators and using their content without their permission, shielded like cowards behind the words fair use.
And so when we started to do Night Attack, now all of a sudden we don't have a network. Maybe we don't have some of those, like, I don't know, do we sue them? It's a legal thing, blah, blah, blah. But also we have amazing artisans. And so Spearmint Nitrate comes in and he's doing these animations and they open the show. And then at a certain point, almost seamlessly, it's like one Spearmint Nitrate decides to not make a professional quality animations weekly for no money.
To be clear, our message has always been, thank you. Please continue doing this as long as it's its own reward and fun for you to do. And it's not unreasonable after over a year and a half, 2 years for somebody to say, you know what? I am a professional animator. I would prefer to not dedicate this many hours to this endeavor.
How about that? I'm just going to not do it. So then the great and powerful Stephen Cogswell comes in and he does full songs about each previous episode. And that goes for an insane amount of time. And now the newest ICU making his own videos and they're hilarious. I don't know what has made us so lucky to have such amazing people that care about this really stupendously dumb show.
Well, we will see how long our luck holds out. But in the meantime, we're joined in studio by Bonnie, the Invisible Wife. Thank you very much for joining us. So,
hi, Bon.
This is also, do we want to do a little bit of tech minute?
Yeah. So there's a lot going on, folks. Last week was the first time that we did this show with the Opal. Rave reviews, by the way. We have gotten your feedback. That is money well spent. We are very thrilled that it has been spent. But Brian, further tech upgrades.
Yeah, dude. Number one, thank you to all of you patrons for making that possible. Second of all, there's kind of two things happening. On the one hand, we understand that one of the downsides of full duplex communication, turns out there's a reason Skype ducks, and it's because ducking sucks. And the only
it doesn't do it because it sucks. It does it because it helps.
But that doesn't rhyme. That's
yeah.
The important thing is that there's
bucks.
a lot of
duck if you suck, my guy.
What I'm trying to say is there's a reason every pro uses, who has full duplex audio uses in-ear monitors and all that stuff. So this is our first episode using the in-ear monitors so that poor Justin is not dealing with, sounding like he's in, could you imagine trying to be funny live on stage in an arena theater where one of you is just talking like you're two bros, but the other one of you has a stage mic and is hearing his own voice slap back at him a half second later. So it's like, I don't understand how the end of every joke last week was not, "Are you ready to rumble?"
No, the worst part is when you're like, it's not the beginning. The beginning is fine. It's the first like moment you hesitate, and then you hear the last thing you said 3 words ago, and you're like, oh, that's where it derails. But now, look, we're upgrading. We're becoming better and better as the rest of entertainment falls apart. Here we are, the pinnacle of live entertainment, bringing to you the best kind of time that you can spend on a Tuesday.
Goddamn right. Speaking of which, there are 2 things. More upgrades. First, we had the Opal, then we've got the in-ear monitors. Next week, if you listen to the happy hour, you heard the story where I straight up on my 8th call, and lo, on the 8th day, he spent an hour speaking to Spectrum. The truth was spoken.
Well, number one, you also low-key broke tech news. Do you realize? I don't know if you realize that you broke tech news.
A walking Engadget article in the making.
Well, I mean, it would be one of those unconfirmed reports. And I guess we should just, create a Squarespace site. Go to squarespace.com. Nah, bro.
I mean, no, but for those of you who didn't listen to the modern or to the happy hour, the TLDR is Brian has been having these problems with Spectrum, specifically during the day, where his stuff gets throttled down to like next to no upload, like literally 0.00 whatever upload. And he finally called enough times that he talked to somebody that was like, look, I'm in like headquarters, and I'm walking into meetings, and I just asked somebody about your thing. And they basically told me, we've been on the phone with every other telecom for the last 2 weeks because this is happening to all of us, and none of us can figure out what it is. So you can sure cancel with us, and you can sure go to somebody else. But spoiler alert, everyone's Comcast, Verizon, Spectrum's what you got, whatever they're calling Time Warner
whoever,
these days,
yeah,
AT&T.
sure.
Yeah, they're all dealing with it. So that's the thing. And,
Well, and
that's something
basically-
that I'd suspected, but I've never come close to anybody officially saying it to anybody. So low key, this was told to Brian today.
Yeah, so the TLDR was none of the residential networks are built to handle the upstream demand that they are encountering. And what happened was, in the early days of the quarantine, everybody was staying home and consuming things. They were downloading all downstream from YouTube, downstream from Netflix, downstream from Hulu or whatever. But it was 2 weeks ago, this is the part that I pieced together, that everybody started doing Zooms, and we started talking about virtual meetings or whatever. All of a sudden, upstream demand went through the roof. Nobody can handle it. Everybody is lying. And I don't think I told you this part in the happy hour. She said, look, I'm not even, she said, I found out that your appointment to have something fixed yesterday was canceled because they know that there's nothing to fix. They know that it is the network to be broken. And if we did call a tech, they would bill you $100. And so we spared you that because we know it's entirely on our end. Good luck and Godspeed. Tip of the hat flies away.
Yeah. And then she Mary Poppins her way out with a, with a sly grin.
It was crazy. Not as crazy as when I got a phone call. Today was a busy day. Got in early, had a meeting, did a bunch of emails, and today is one of those financial catch-up days. I think we got caught up on the Patreon stuff and all that. And then so a lot of tedious stuff all day. And I realized that we have to do happy hour, and then after that, I have to shoot a ad. And I did not wake up this morning and show up to HQ expecting to be on camera. So I do not look like I expect to be on camera. So I'm headed on home, and I'm almost home when I get a call from Bonnie. And I'm like, and I've called Bonnie a couple of times earlier in the day. So I'm like, okay, something's happening. So I answer the phone, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And Bonnie says some version of, you got to talk to our middle daughter. What's going on? And she's like, well, she's being this way and saying these things, all the things you would expect a mother to say about their 12-year-old daughter.
Can I ask Bonnie, did it raise to using her middle name level? Did the exacerbation rise to using her middle name?
Oh, No, it was an automatic. Oh, Dad's getting involved because
All
like,
right, there we go.
we skipped
like-
that step, and it was just like, I don't think
That's
so.
it. I'm escalating this. This is going up the chain, and you're
Right.
not gonna like what comes down.
This is at my house. It would involve my dad like
The belt?
snapping his belt to like. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Oh no, both ends, and then you snap it.
Clap, clap.
Pop, pop.
So I'm turning into the neighborhood, and Bonnie is really, I'm listening to her start at like, okay, a phone call has been established. We are now speaking as co-parents and spouses.
Yeah.
Now I'm hearing her get spun up. And she's like, well, she just, and then she will, and then I think, and then I want to. And as she gets to right around that, you could tell that peak emotion is when I've pulled into the driveway and I'm getting out. And at that peak emotion, as I walk up to the door, I like, you could tell she's ramping up the emotion so that she could get me riled up to take her side.
Yeah.
Instead, I crank it to 11 and I say, I just say, I am going to be there instantly. And then I open up the door and just scream, Josie! And Bonnie, who was sitting right next to the door and had no idea that I was not at HQ, thought she complained, and I just appeared in a puff of smoke.
Apparated, bitch.
It was amazing. It was truly magical.
And then and the only bummer is like after that I had to go upstairs. Like I talked to Bonnie and found out the full situation. Then I went upstairs to talk to Josie, and Josie very clearly just thought I was that angry.
Gotcha.
That I kicked in the door and screamed her name, and I was like, "No, I did a really good magic trick for your mom."
Yeah. You were saying on the happy hour that you wanted. Oh, this was the magic.
Yeah, this
trick.
was. Oh,
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
always the good sign of a story is when. So it's like you were saying that you had a good story.
No, I only thought because I thought that you said this happened after the happy hour. Sorry, my apologies.
No, it was before. That's part of what made it work was that it was at a time of day that I was running home panicked to get camera ready, and Bonnie had no reason to expect me to be anywhere in the area.
Yeah, except
Gotcha.
Here's the other side of that is that Brian runs to go get his camera ready, and then he was like, "Okay, I'll see you later." I'm like, "You have not talked to the child yet." So he finally went up and handled all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It got worked out.
it did.
Hey, man, we have a quest. We have to fix. Yeah, much like the classic best days of NSFW and BB
Yeah.
Live Show, we have a cloud to punch right in its smug, dumb face, and it's called all of broadcast television who thinks they know how to live stream.
Well, or yeah, they're desperately flailing too, right? Like this is. I've joked on my stream before, but I do believe that it is indeed correct that this is the pinnacle of live entertainment. I was supposed to miss this show tonight. We were supposed to move this show. I was supposed to be in Oracle Arena watching Rage Against the Machine and Run the Jewels. That was going to happen. Guess what's not happening? Guess what is happening? Us. And that's it. There's no concerts, no magic shows, no stand-up comedy. All of it gone. And everybody else that used to be in big fancy television studios, they ain't got shit now. Padlocks on the door because the government won't let them in. But guess who's doing the exact same thing but better? Me and you, Bri.
I'll tell you
Me
what.
and you.
And at some point, it becomes so obvious that even the most humble of person has to acknowledge the naked truth right in front of their face. 24 hours ago, we did a live Cord Killers, and one of the news items was about the concert they did, the One World Together at Home or whatever.
One world, yeah. One time. for
Question
everyone.
put to the floor. Jason Howell, Tom Merritt, did you guys watch this? I didn't. Jason Howell, no, I did not watch it. Tom Merritt, I did. Brian, how was it? Tom Merritt, it was like this show, but worse.
It's like, yeah, it's like this show, but instead of us, famous people but instead of the tech, worse. Like it's like whatever, you can't move the sliders without subtracting from the other one. So it's like, okay, like Brian and Justin, way less famous than the Rolling Stones. But the Rolling Stones don't know how to use a webcam.
Hey, that was fun how we were both able to make that sound at the same time.
That was pretty nice. One time at some point it'll be de rigueur, but tonight is not that night.
So we were talking about in the happy hour where it's like somebody has to point out, like everybody, we started to point out like there are these obvious things that we've learned over the last 12 years or whatever, and then instantly chat room starts going nuts saying, I saw a video where so-and-so was being interviewed and he had that halo that only happens when somebody doesn't know to wipe their fingerprint off of the front-facing camera from an iPhone. Somebody else, shiny foreheads, failing to frame their shot correctly, audio fuck-ups, shitty backgrounds, flat lighting, and all that stuff. So we had this idea of like, man, there needs to be a viral video. Might as well, if nobody else is going to show up, might as well be me and Justin, especially since now we can speak at the same time as each other and not have everything get ducked.
we've cleared our last hurdle.
And so we were talking, somebody suggested 10 things I hate about your stream, which, by the way, totally clears up for us to do sequels. 10 more things I hate about your stream. The son of 10 things I hate about your streams. The 10 things I hate about your stream rides again. The Phantom 10 things that I hate about your stream. We got a whole series all set up for this.
This sounds like a J.R.L. Stein. Or
A J.R.L. Stein.
something like that.
Pride of the 10 things I hate about your stream. Look, we can keep it under 10 minutes, put it on Quibi. 10 streams, 10 furious.
I'm waiting, Meg. I've been waiting for this check.
So Justin made the awesome metaphor. It's like, man, it's like we spent 12 years practicing putt-putt on one particular course, and now it's the only course in the entire universe.
Not only the only course, it's the only sport. Like no basketball courts, no football fields, all of it's gone. The only sport that is allowed to be played is putt-putt at our golf course.
Pride in the 10 things I hate about your stream. War in the 10 things I hate about your stream.
All's quiet on the 10 things I hate about your stream.
So here's what we want you guys to do. Oh, this is going to be great. Just give us a week. Just give us a week, and next week we'll have something amazing, I promise. Because what we're asking everybody to do is find every clip of every obvious mistake, whether it's a shiny forehead, a bad lighting, a poor framing, the awkward ducking, the ASMR breathing or whatever. All of those things, find examples of those things so that we can completely legally, under fair use them in the video, and next week put it out there. Just give us a link to it on Twitter. Just use the hashtag putt-putt. P-U-T-T, because we're the people who've been practicing on this putt-putt course for 12 goddamn years, and all y'all motherfuckers realize it's the only sport in town. You don't even understand how that windmill works. Fuck you.
And by the way, this is not saying that anybody who are making these mistakes are bad. Because I'll tell you what, give them far longer or far shorter than it took for us to figure these lessons out, and they'll get it because they're professionals. We have no doubt in their skill. But they ain't been on this goddamn course for 10 years.
Merrill
we
Ball.
have. We can advance this for everybody. We're doing this for the common good.
Merrill Barr pointed out, a Hall of Fame wrestler who did an interview by setting a laptop on a stool and put a microphone up next to it, who may or may not have been somebody. Is
there a reason why we're not saying his name?
Oh, I don't know, just to be coy. But yeah, it was fun and funny.
No. Yeah, I mean, Chris Jericho. I mean, a man at the top of his game, former champion of AEW wrestling, WWE wrestling, really doing a great job now and keeping up his social media. One of his things, a little Saturday live stream. Good for him. Good for Le Champion. Here's the problem. doesn't exactly know about how to mix different video stuff. And so what he did while interviewing his good friend Kevin Smith is he had Kevin Smith call in on Skype, and he literally just held up his laptop in front of his computer.
He cradled it like a baby. Oh, Kevin Baby Smith. Kevin Baby
so
Smith.
he could just hold it right there. And he looked into the camera, and Kevin Smith looked into his camera that would look into another camera, and they both acted like they were on stream together. I mean, look, again, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It just so happens that right now famous people are doing it, and we will be happy to point out very easy ways that they can continue to better themselves.
Also, understand, in case any of this gets thrown back in our face next week or the weeks afterwards, this all comes from a place of love. Oh, we've been there. We've spent 12 years. Look, we're all in the same putt-putt course. It just so happens we're fucking gods of this putt-putt course.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's so crazy to watch everybody. And people are learning. People are getting better. You're already seeing some of the top network people are like figuring out like, oh, wait, this isn't going to end tomorrow. Let's actually put a background up in front of somebody and bring a professional lighting kit to them and set up their cameras and stuff like that. People are realizing it now, but it's so funny that now the me's and you's and the YouTubers of the world that have all learned how to do 3-point lighting by hand because nobody else was going to set it up or show them. Like now, these are the lessons we all learn.
Well, and I guess it makes sense. I mean, truly, I think it is why would you possibly spend the money? Why would the network spend the money to take the 17 anchors that they normally bring into their studio and instead duplicate their expenses by 17 to send out to set it up for them? But likewise, why would the anchors do all this work themselves for what clearly is going to be a temporary situation? And it's
not to mention a lot of the infrastructure is built to go to turn around that stuff super, super quick. So it's not like you can just say, here's a camera, go and record a bunch of stuff, because they have to turn around those shows, so some of those daily shows in a matter of hours.
And as we just discussed, upstream garbage bandwidth across the nation, man, it's insane. But you know what's not insane?
What's that, Brian?
Keeping our show alive, healthy, and growing right in front of your faces by heading on over to patreon.com/nightattack.
Hell yeah. Here's the deal. We have a site. It's called patreon.com/nightattack. You give us money on that site, we keep doing the show. This isn't a threat. It's not to say that we're not going to do the show if we don't get the money. I'm just saying we're going to do a better show if we get more money. There's certainly a level of effort that we tied to the amount of money we see. Hey, just kidding. Or am I? Patreon.com/nightattack also gets you a custom RSS feed. That's where you can get all the bonus, the pre-show, the post-show. We had a banger of a pre-show today too.
Goddamn right.
That you can get before anybody else, as long as you are on our Patreon.
Hells
Again,
to the
patreon.com/nightattack.
Most importantly, if you are a new pledger or if you up your pledge, you have a chance to randomly be called out on a section we like to call...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Night Attack new Patreon name chant corner hour.
So much.
For the buck, fuck all.
All right, look, we say it's random, and it's as random as we can make it because I refuse to open up the document before we even start the show, and only live do I look and see who has recently upped their pledge.
And you've also in recent weeks been requesting people spam the results because that's preferable to you.
It's been great. It's been awesome. And there are people who play that game of upping their pledge week after week, just 1 penny. And I commend you. And there was even one of those folks who made a minor adjustment in the upward direction to their pledge who had a name that I honestly do not know how to say. And it occurred to me that maybe I would make a bit of trying to say their name correct.
Okay.
And I saw that somebody just up and became a $5 an episode patron. So I just want to say thank you, easy to say, Jesse Gonzalez. Jesse Gonzalez. We can both talk at the same time. Thank you very much, Jesse Gonzalez.
Jesse Gonzalez. Jesse Gonzalez. Jesse Gonzalez.
Y'all ready for Jesse Gonzalez?
Gonzalez.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. Hey, Brian, there's this other part of our show. I don't know if you've noticed, but we go live on the internet. And when we do it on twitch.tv/Night Attack. And sometimes we like to tell a real story that is definitely not just us weaving in gratuitously the names of people that are subscribing and donating.
I know what
right
you're getting
now
at,
as we
and
record the show.
normally it's either you or me who's challenged, usually on the spot, to come up with everything smoothly for a full 1 minute unbroken story, weaving in all of the names. We've never thrown my wife under the bus like I'm going to do right now. Bonnie,
You
what's an
are
authentic story that
kidding.
happened to you this week?
Oh my God, I cannot read because my glasses fell off my head.
And a theater monkey stole them.
Yeah, and a theater monkey stole them.
That's right.
So let me see if I can do this.
'Cause see,
but an X modem just swooped in. A modem, X modem is a flying machine.
It is. In the air.
It's 050.
Joshua David. Joshua David is piloting the X modem, really.
But a spin-12 twirled around and punched that plane in the noggin. And cheers to, I cannot see it,
Renaigu.
Renaigu, because he was my savior. It was so sweet of him to agent sign the scene. It was amazing. I say look up in your wabbitmagic.com and it will tell you what agent sign is. Anyways, Sat Guy is great.
The end. Dun, dun. Oh, goddamn. I love you, sweetie.
I can't believe you did that to me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, Bryce, we got a game.
We do have a game. I gotta play my special music. This week we got a special game from BioCow to, quote, get our minds off the corona pandemic. It's a brand new, totally original trivia game he calls J Party.
J Party? What's funny is I genuinely didn't know what that meant, and then I said the words, and I heard the words coming out of my mouth in combination with the music, and I was done. And then I suddenly married Hank Kingsley to his new wife.
Hey now.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you what. I don't know why any other podcast hasn't thought to rip off Jeopardy as a regular game. I'll tell you what, man. We're on a roll.
That's how
Doing
good we
multiple
are, man.
episodes. We're doing multiple episodes a week. We're playing a Jeopardy game.
Now
like,
we're doing impressions.
doing impressions?
Of original
Oh my
podcasts
God.
ripping off Jeopardy.
dude, we've had so many great ideas lately.
Wait, is someone stealing? Oh no.
You don't know that our friends over at Ice Cream Social
No!
do
Oh no!
If I can't
They call it
defend,
Scooper to
I'm
keep-
gonna defend.
You know what? Actually, this is good. This is earned on my part because everybody. I had a bunch of people hit me up. There were a bunch of people who are patrons who get to listen to the Abracababble podcast, and they got to the episode right now while they're in quarantine. They're doing reviews of past episodes of Fool Us, and I had to listen to your friend of mine, Matt Donnelly,
Yeah.
praise my performance while totally getting the method.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I didn't have to hear it once. I had to hear him say, and then other host, well, I thought he did at least put this amount of effort into it.
This kind of effort?
And then other host, well, yeah, no. I mean, it seems like that would take a lot of time and energy and effort, but it would work. And no, guys. He just did insert very lazy method that would only work if you relied on generous editing.
Now, don't some of the people on the Abracadabble podcast work on Fool Us? Don't they?
I mean, including Matt Donnelly.
Yes, that's
Oh,
so
my God.
You would think, Matt Donnelly, who was definitely there for the performance.
BioCow sent this in March 16th, so if they haven't been doing it that long, then we win. So.
No.
But Zula has it
for those-
backwards. Matt was the only one that was wrong. Never mind. Okay, wait. Look, I'm gonna set. We got drama. All I'm saying,
Abracababble.
we have earned our ability to steal this bit for this episode, and we will explain more in future
also,
episodes.
that's not the podcast. It's the Ice Cream Social podcast, not Africa Babble, that does a Jeopardy game every episode. But
right.
you want to know what? I'm upset that you didn't know about it because I'm here to willfully steal from them.
Okay.
So I'm just, this is an open, I'm just letting Ice Cream Social know I will listen to your show every episode like I have been, and I'm going to willfully steal from you whenever I think I find something I like. And if we don't steal, know that I found your entire show worthless.
No.
Oh my goodness. So
God, now all I want to do is run out the door, run home, find the 29 of 30 unused props that I had to make, take a photograph of them, and send them to Matt Donnelly.
should.
To get out in front of that.
No. Here, in fact, I'll tell you what. Post show, can you call Matt?
Ooh.
I think, I wish I'd taken those pictures. That was the joke. Is I was just gonna send him a photo.
Post show. We're gonna see whether or not Brian calls Matt. But right now,
Okay,
let's get to the
all
game.
right.
I know
Patreon.com/night
what
attack.
this is now,
Yeah.
and that is bullshit because I had to be.
You had to be
around-
there.
I had to be there.
All right.
Okay.
This is so nobody knows what we're talking
It's
about
It's
because
fine,
you're
it's
not
fine,
going to
it's fine,
reveal
it's
the
fine.
method.
All right,
And
all right.
it was elaborate.
So, in this game, we're going to give you a trivia answer.
Oh, that's right. The treadmill story. Everybody somebody find the link
No,
to the
everyone
treadmill story.
knows. I mean, like, either we're going to spend 30
In this
minutes
game,
on
you're going to
this.
be given a trivia answer and must provide the question in the form of a question. We've got 4 categories with 4 questions at different prize amounts. Players are going to buzz in by saying your name. So, Brian, you're going to say Brian. Justin, you're going to say Justin. Bonnie, you're going to say Justin. And you're going to wait until...
Wait,
Oh, no.
I thought that was a
gonna
bit.
say
I swear to God, I thought that was a bit.
Oh,
I thought that was such a good bit. I was like, that's so funny because the like I thought that was a bit. Bonnie, you're gonna say Justin, and then you're gonna wait to see if Bryce says which one of you was that.
Yeah.
So,
That's the rule. So 2 of you have
my
to say Justin.
buzz-in.
I get to say
Man.
Brian.
I'll
My
bet you Matt's
buzz-in
going to
is
get
to
the
say-
method on that wrong, too.
Bonnie, you're going to say Bonnie. Justin's going to say... say whatever you want. I don't know. But I'm going to call upon someone to give their the question in the form of a question for this. The most recent player who gets an answer correctly will get to pick the category in question. Let's take a look at our categories. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Our categories today include my Corona. We've also got a drop in the pan. We've got use dem words. These are looking for words that begin with DEM. And I see what you did there. We're going to be looking for 2 words beginning with I and C, respectively. Each category's got a $1, $2, $3, and $400 question. Money will be deducted if you get it wrong. Person with the most money at the end of the game is going to win a fabulous prize. So we're starting everybody at 0. Brian, why don't you pick something for us?
I'll go with I see what you did there for 400.
I see what you did there for 400. All right, here we go. There we go. Developed in the 1950s, this type of microchip is in almost every electronic device we use today.
What is? Oh, Brian.
Brian.
What is an integrated circuit?
Integrated circuit is
Correctamundo.
Correctamundo. That's
Oh, man. I was going to go with ice cream.
I was thinking that's what they were going for.
all right. That's $400. Brian, you get to pick
Man,
again.
that's a great name for a podcast.
I'll go with I see what you did there for 300.
I see what you did there for 300. All right.
By the way, is the answer the method to Brian Brushwood's Fool Us appearance?
Don't make joke answers. I'm going to take away points.
Oh, okay.
When asked for your registration and your IC, remember to include your official scam stuff get out of jail free card.
Brian.
Justin.
Brian.
Oh, look, you can't even. I think this game was specifically designed for the fact that we finally have parity and it's full duplex and it's fair. Which one of us shouts
yeah.
first?
Which, ironically, it couldn't have been. It was sent in 5 weeks ago.
Also, he's got time travel. That's amazing.
You got 5 seconds.
Insurance card.
Insurance card is not an acceptable answer.
Also, I didn't say it in the form of a
And
question.
it was not in the form of a question. That brings you down to $100.
Justin.
Justin.
What is identification card?
Identification card is correct. Bing, 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 bing. All right, that's 300 points for Justin. Justin, pick a question for me, bud.
Use dem words for 400.
Dem words for 400. All right. Out of date or antiquated.
Justin.
Justin.
Dem titties.
Them titties is incorrect. That brings you down to negative 100 points.
Shit.
Brian or Bonnie?
No.
Justin.
Bonnie, no, please. You want to go?
Democrats?
What? All right.
I'm just
negative
kidding.
one.
Bonnie just threw us up on the comedy sword and the cheap pop comedy sword to boot. You
Sorry.
fell on the knobbly balloon comedy sword.
There we go.
And it went like this. Pew.
I know. Clip it and send it to Steven Crowder.
All right. Beep, beep, beep. The word we were looking for was demoted. Demoted.
Demoted.
Oh, I
Demoted.
don't
There you go.
know.
Let's see.
Not a
Justin, you get another chance to pick a question.
Demoted?
No, demoted.
My Corona for 100, Bryce.
My corona for 400. The corona of this heavenly body is brilliantly visible with the naked eye only when the moon passes in front of it completely.
Brian.
Brian.
What is the sun?
The sun is correct. That gets you to $200.
Yeah.
I picked a question for
I'll take my Corona for 200.
my corona for 200. Remember to answer in the form of a question. I realized I did not even listen last time if you got that right. In anatomy, corona may be the top of mind to describe part of this large bone.
Brian.
Justin.
Brian.
Sorry. What is Justin's dong?
Incorrect. I get you to 0 points. All right. Sorry. It's anybody's guess or anybody's buzz. Nobody?
No.
Justin?
Bonnie.
The femur?
Femur is incorrect. I get you to
Also,
negative
yeah,
600.
form of a question.
Oh, what is a tibula?
I'm gonna dock double points because you also got that. That one is also wrong. The top of mind to describe this large bone. All right, last chance. 5, 4, 3. Beep, beep, beep. We were looking for the skull.
Oh, damn it. I
We were
knew
looking for
that.
the skull.
You know,
Man,
I
that
have-
shit's fake.
All right, Justin. Justin, you're up. Now you can pick another one.
My Corona for 300.
My Corona for 300. In this 2010 Disney movie, a newborn princess is taken from the kingdom of Corona and years later tries to find her way home.
Justin,
Bonnie.
Say it. Question.
what is Rapunzel? Tangled.
I'll give it to you.
Oh,
I'll give it to you. Correct.
Yay.
That brings you up to negative 500. All right, the current standing is Brian's got 0, Justin has negative 100, and Bonnie has negative $500.
Also, in Bonnie's defense, she got confused because somebody named Rapunzel gave us 500 bits, and she thought she was still doing the thing where she had to do the story. And so that's what interrupted her.
Right. Bonnie, you get to pick the next question.
Oh.
She's back to her knitting already.
I'm going to go use dim words 100.
Use them words for 100. Short for this national political party.
Justin.
Justin Robert Young.
What is Democratic Party?
What is Democratic Party? Is correct. That's that brings you up to 0 points. Justin, pick another one.
Use dem words for 200.
Them words for 200.
Before you say this, can I just point out how right Bad Weave is in the chat saying, this is SNL Celebrity Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Like we're going out of our way to be dumb as shit.
Except we're also not famous.
Use them word for 200. The zone between North and South Korea is referred to as
Brian.
Justin.
Brian.
What is the demilitarized zone?
Correct the mundo. There you
Yeah.
go. That's 200 points. Brings you up to 200 points.
I'll take a drop in the pan for 200.
A drop in the pan for 200. Found in most kitchens, this cooking aid has a long handle and usually an accompanying lid. Found in most kitchens, this cooking aid has a long handle and usually an accompanying lid.
Justin.
Justin.
What is dem titty?
God damn it. I was going to say the Democratic
Dang
Party.
it.
No, unfortunately. All right. Beep, beep, beep.
I'm
Last
so
chance.
offended by that.
All right. We were looking for saucepan.
Oh,
Yeah,
saucepan.
saucepan.
I'll take.
I mean,
I see what you did there for 200.
I see what you did there for 200. This type of engine generally comes in two kinds: the spark engine, ignition,
Brian.
and the compression ignition.
What is a
Brian?
diesel engine? Oh,
Brian?
what is a diesel engine?
Incorrect.
Yeah, but if I say it like this, what's a diesel engine? Am I right?
All right, that brings you to 0.
That's right.
any other
Oh,
ones?
Justin.
God damn it.
Justin, Robert Young.
What is the internal combustion engine?
That makes more sense because it has an I and a C in it. And it's not just randomly the first engine you could think of.
Yeah.
It has the I. It has an I in it. All right, Justin, pick a question for me, Pep.
Use dem words for 300.
Them words for 300. What a man holding a sledgehammer or Sly Stallone in a 1993 sci-fi movie
Right,
is
right,
ready
right.
for. You gotta wait for me to finish that question. Is ready for.
Justin.
Oh, damn it.
Justin.
Demolition Man.
Oh, not the form of a question.
Sorry,
What is
that is.
Demolition
What is
Man?
right?
Hold on.
What is
right,
them
right.
titties? What is them titties?
Justin is wrong. Negative $300. Brian.
Oh, what is Demolition Man?
Also wrong. Negative $300 for you. What a man holding a sledgehammer or Sly Stallone in a 1993 sci-fi movie is ready for.
Ooh, what is a demonstrably bad actor?
Oh.
Incorrect. Negative $600.
Oh no!
Oh.
Damn it!
Oh.
Any last guess? Beep, beep, beep. We were looking for demolition. Just
Oh.
Oh,
demolition.
fuck you.
No. Look. He is being exactly as pedantic and asshole-ish and smug as that Canadian treasure, Alex Trebek.
All right.
Nah, dude, by the way, claps on the U-turn. Claps on the U-turn.
The current standings right now.
Not since the French Connection have we seen such stunt driving.
The standings so far are Brian has negative $600, Justin has negative $300, Bonnie has negative $500. I do have Venmo, so we can settle up after. And we're going into our triple points round. So all the questions will be worth triple what it says on the board. So I believe, who's next here? I don't even know when the last time someone said the right answer was. Probably, let's say Justin.
I think it was me.
Justin, pick a question.
I see what you did there for 100.
All right, and that'll be times 3, so it'll be $300 at stake. I see what you did. This tasty treat ranges from plain old vanilla to specialty flavors. It can also be
Justin.
very social.
Right.
Justin.
Brian,
What is ice cream?
ice cream is correctamundo. That brings you up
Son of
to
a bitch.
negative 300, tied with Justin.
Nailed it.
More
My
like
brain.
iced cum.
What?
Oh my
We would have accepted ice cum, weirdly enough.
God.
I will take a drop in the pan for 100.
A drop in the pan for $100. All right, here we go. Resembling a small rock with a skirt around it, Pan is the innermost moon of this planet. Like planet, like moon.
Brian.
Brian.
What is Saturn?
Saturn is correctamundo. Brings you up to 0. All right, pick another one.
Brings
The
me up to 0.
100.
I've never been happier to hear those words. My Corona for 400, please.
For 400, this could be 1,200 big ones. Here we go. Corona Extra, often served with a wedge of lime, is a Mexican beer of this variety.
Brian.
What
is lager?
Lager is correct.
I love the fact that not only are we ripping off an existing property, but we have 2 sounders from 2 other existing properties.
Yeah.
No, this is original.
Fuck it.
This is
Yeah.
That's me saying that.
Oh.
All right, we got a few more here. There's still anybody's game. Brian's got $1,200. Justin's got negative 300, and Bonnie has negative 500. We're now in the 5x round.
Oh, no.
So it's still anybody's game.
I'll take a drop in the pan for 300, please.
A drop in the pan for 300. This fictional character first appeared in J.M. Barrie's 1902 novel, The Little White Bird.
Say
Justin.
Bonnie,
Peter Pan.
Wait, no,
in the form of a
What is
question.
Peter Pan?
question. In the form of a question.
What is Peter Pan? Who is Peter Pan?
We don't know if he's a human.
Actually, good point.
Peter Pan is
He
correct.
fucking lives forever? Like, what the fuck? No. Like we definitely don't know that that's flesh and blood.
Who the fuck has a detachable shadow, by the way? That's some bullshit.
Yeah, come on. Get outta
Detachable. Isn't there a
here.
song called Detachable Shadows?
Quick side jack before we do this final one. Everybody in the chat is saying, why is Peter Pan? How is Peter Pan? There was definitely,
What?
I remember as a kid I must have been in middle school, and there was somebody who was having a brain freak out moment, and it's like he buzzed in, and he was like, and then he just goes, "Is it Peter Pan?" And then there's this weird pause. And you're like, that was in the form of a question. And they gave him the points. That was amazing.
All right, we're going into our final question here. The current standing is Brian has $1,200. Justin is at -300, and Bonnie moved her way up with that 5X round up to $1,000.
Right on.
We're now going into our final pew 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 pew. The Dodecageddon.
Dodecageddon.
Which
12X.
Oh, that's 12X. Damn
Yeah.
it. God, the math.
No,
I
it's
just made the math way harder on myself.
No.
I was trying to say 10.
Pretty sure you made it easier.
All right, for $400, this is a drop in the pan. Remember, use your buzzers. Form a question.
Hold on, before we do this, you did Lanty in the chat. If I went on Jeopardy, I'd answer all of them with, why is the answer blank?
I mean, would they let you do that?
Maybe. I
Not
don't
for
know.
long.
I bet someone tried to. I bet someone's tried to.
They'd go to commercial break, and that national treasure would beat the shit out of you and say, fucking play by the
He would
rules.
slap your fucking mouth loose.
All right. For $400 times 12, a drop in the pan, often played in pairs. This percussive musical instrument is sometimes referred to as pans or a pan when referring to one of them.
Justin.
Justin Robert Young for the game.
What is them titties?
God damn it.
Justin.
That's -$3,800 for Justin. No, I'm sorry. That's even worse. You were in
It's
the
a
negative.
lot.
Bonnie, did you still want to buzz in?
She already did.
Justin,
Yes, Bonnie.
the pan flute is not percussive, but I'm going to say, what is a pan flute?
What is it? I shouldn't have scratched out putting it in the wrong place.
That classic percussive instrument, the pan
Yeah.
flute, that Alex Trebek uses to beat your ass.
That is,
It's called the pain flute now, bitch.
it's French, though.
Brian.
Brian Rushwood.
What is the steel drums?
Sorry, that is not a correct answer. We can still take more buzzes. You're allowed to. Also, you can buzz in as many times as you want and guess as many times.
Justin.
Justin Robert Young.
What is them titties?
What is the timpani?
Oh, God damn it.
Incorrect. That's -$9,909.
Okay, Brian.
Brian Brushwood.
What are kettle drums?
Incorrect.
Justin.
Justin Robert Young.
No, that was Bonnie.
All right, put 5 seconds on the clock here.
Brian.
Brian.
What are bongos?
Incorrect.
God damn it.
$14,000.
Right.
Justin.
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 What are them titties?
I'm too stupid to do this much math this quickly.
Brian.
Justin.
Brian Brushwood.
What are
Them
jugs
titties.
with 3 G's?
Justin.
Bonnie Brushwood.
Justin. What is dad ass?
All right. The correct answer we were looking for was steel pans.
Steel pans.
you said
I said
that.
steel drums.
Steel drums.
Yeah,
steel
no, that's
pants.
different.
It's a drop.
Yeah,
All right.
sometimes referred to as pans or pan. I'm sure that everybody in the chat agrees that I was 100% wrong, and there'll be no dispute that national treasure Bryce Castillo made the right decision. Also, you look great without that mustache.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
I was too mean with it. I think I was a little too mean with it. All right, with the score of $-8,600, our winner today is Bonnie Brushwood.
What is the audience was the real winners that we met along the way?
Thank you.
Man, I'd take that back. That shit's hard. Ice Cream Social makes it look easy.
Thank you to BioCow who sent this in and made this whole web interface I could use. That's incredible. If you've got a game you'd like us to send or to play here in the middle of the show, which is what this was, send it to mail@nightattack.tv and we might use it and play it in the middle of the show, which is what this was. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you how Ice Cream Social makes that look so easy. is they just miscall all the answers. They just say the wrong answers, and everybody just acts like they're the right answers. That's why they look so good.
Do they really?
Bonnie Brushwood. It's a callback. It's a classic of comedy. I love it.
Bonnie, we both can't have
love
listened
you.
to Ice Cream Social lately.
It was a great magic trick when I kicked in the door and shouted Josie.
It was.
No, but I
better than
thought you
that
had a
lazy
Josie
one.
story, though.
I think it was a good story.
A good Josie story, maybe? We could hear that now.
Hey, Brian, you want to do a little diamond time?
Yes, I do. Diamond Time is, of course, the portion of the program where we call out your projects. Head on over to diamondclub.reddit.com. You'll see a big old fat sticky post right at the top of it. The top 3 upvoted stories of your projects get read aloud, kind of like what you're about to hear from Justin Robert Young, like this.
Ganoush writes, hey there, Diamond Club. It's your old friend, Ganoush. My fiance, Emmy, has started up a YouTube channel where she does 2 of her favorite things, paint and talk. Watch as she creates amazing paintings while telling stories, reviewing movies and television. It's very satisfying to watch the paintings come together while her stories are personal and entertaining. We would love for you guys to check it out. Throw her a sub, maybe a couple likes if you enjoy yourself. Find her at YOLO420.com/paint swag.
Wow, this looks great. She's reviewing Westworld while, I guess, painting a picture of Dolores, I think.
Oh, that's good.
That's fun.
That's really good. Yeah. So,
oh, wow, she has talent.
yeah. And also, spoiler alert, the painting is awesome. That's the big spoiler that she gives. Rufus Colby writes in saying, hey, guys, my good friend and fellow creative Kino is taking this time to begin a podcast he's been wanting to start for a while, Creative Hooligans. It's about filmmaking and his entrepreneurial journey. Let's all give him a jump start. He doesn't know I'm posting this here, so let's surprise him with some crazy numbers. Website, including the Google Podcast, Spotify, and RSS links, is creative-hooligans.pinecast, that's P-I-N-E, cast.co.
Or I'm sure you can look up Creative Hooligans in your podcatcher of choice.
Yeah, you can probably find it there.
Just get in them titties. Sorry.
That's Justin's bit.
Oh, Brian.
And Elias Terces writes, ahoy, me boys and gals. Longtime listener, first-time commenter. My friends and I made a podcast a couple years ago, and we had a blast. It was a tad chaotic at times, and there were plenty of laughs, and I think I peaked as a comedian. It's been all downhill from there. Anyway, if you enjoy stupid NSFW hypotheticals and a unique viewpoint, an outdated world, then give us a listen. Bit.ly. Oh, jeez. Well,
It looks like the
didn't do
podcast
this one right.
is called the What's the Name of It Again podcast. So maybe look
There we
for
go.
What's
Search,
the name
yeah,
of it
search what's the name of it again on YouTube. That's where it goes.
Of course, shout out your projects. Head on over to diamondclub.reddit.com. Join our community. Man, this is the part of the program where we usually take we check out our mail sacks and see if anybody wrote us an email. Bryce, shall we retire to the place where our mail sacks rest?
Let's do so.
Join us for drinks in the Diamond Club.
The Diamond Club. That sounds grand.
You know, colloquially, they say some people call diamond rocks. So this is where the Diamond Club is where the rocks are.
That's where you get your rocks off
Taking
of
the
your
rocks off.
chests because you're keeping them on your chest and now you're throwing them to us.
That's right.
We take your rocks.
That's right. Put your rocks in my sack with the mail sack segment. We got a question titled...
You put your rocks in my sack and I'll shake them all up.
We've got a question here from Mike. It says, random question for MC Allergy specifically. We were holding on to this one for a little while because sometimes Bonnie leaves before the mail segment.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
we got a question here from Mike. Hi, Bonnie. So I know you deal with a lot of food-related allergies, so I thought I would throw this very random question out to you, perfect for use in the Night Attack mailbag, right? Have you ever heard of an allergy or intolerance to canola oil? I ask because I've dealt with pretty bad digestive issues for the last 20 years. I, after many attempts at figuring out, have just chalked it up to stress. However, this thought popped into my head recently. Around 20 years ago is when canola oil really started to take off, and it's used in so many places, including restaurants, as a catch-all for frying oil. Also, apparently the FDA isn't strict on ingredient lists because when you use things like sunflower or canola oil on them, they don't even have to put what they use. What do you think? This is from Mike.
I think that is very likely and worth a trip to your allergist. You'll love having the answers to questions. You won't love the process because it's like a blood draw and a lot of pokey things in your back. However, we found with our little ones that just putting lotions like sunscreen on their skin and it was soy based would make their skin break out. And so it was just like, what the heck is happening? It just turned red under their hands. And they finally are supposed to declare what kind of like lecithin it is. And so we're getting answers. I mean, it should be easier to navigate that, but it's hard at restaurants. If you're allergic to corn, that would really suck. So
There you go. Check with your doctor.
yeah.
We've got another email here from Evil Eagle 75. Evil Eagle says, "Hey, Brian, Justin, Bryce, and Bonnie. Thought that I would share my journey of listening to the show over the years. I used to be a theater director in Houston and went to a costume shop that also had a magic counter."
Oh my God, I know exactly which this is. I know exactly what this is, and I probably visited the exact same person who was behind the counter where I saw, it was one of the first times that I saw a trick that later would be featured on Scam School. Ooh, this is amazing.
Was it a really lazy method?
I'm going to hold up this sealed envelope with my guess as to who
I was
this
going to
is.
say, are you more excited for you to be wrong or for you to have spoiled the email?
A costume shop that had a magic counter. Most of the times that I went there, I also picked up a trick to show to my students. I was listening to different podcasts at the time and looked for a magic podcast where I found Justin doing the iTricks podcast and started listening to him. That brought me over to the Scam School podcast, which I started to use for tricks on my students. I dove in deep and started with the Brian on the Road episodes and also started listening to all the new stuff that you put out. I listened through BB Live, NSFW, and now Night Attack. I even used the movie draft to teach movie marketing to my students one year. Most of the time, I've listened to the show after the fact on my commute, but I've started listening live. It took me a while not to get used to not hearing y'all at 2x speed. Keep up the good work and keep up smiling during this tough time. Evil Eagle 75. Was this a short?
Oh my gosh, Evil Eagle is in the chat right now, and I was correct. It was Frankel's costume shop, and that's wonderful. How very, very cool, and what kind words, and how cool that you were there from the very, very beginning. And I think my favorite part is that it was the iTricks podcast. That, I mean, it was a true
that
magic
got
podcast.
you to Scam School. So you're welcome, Brian.
yeah.
Thank you. Sincere thank yous. And in fact, double thank yous because not only for that specific instance, but iTricks was one of the we've told the story before, but iTricks was one of the very first media anythings I had done post Scam School. And of course, right out of the gate, there was a controversy on literally episode 1 of Scam School among magicians. And strangely, it wasn't about the fact that I was teaching a magic trick on the internet. It was about, it was a piracy question because a bunch of people were like, way to spoil Daniel Garcia's Warning. And what Warning was like a half hour or 45-minute long DVD. It was a really in-depth tutorial where Daniel Garcia took one principle and showed 4 or 5 different variations on it, all of which much more impressive than what I showed on Scam School. And I just took the most simplest, most reductionist version of it and taught it on Scam School. So the controversy was whether or not, way to rip off Warning by Daniel Garcia. What people didn't know is that I was the one who taught that trick to Daniel Garcia. And that is, and we've mentioned this several times, and I've never loved a phrase more. It was Justin's follow-up post that
here, hold on, before we get to there, this is just a general thing. If anybody who's listening to me that's getting into reporting or is covering anything, this is just your golden parable. Always send the email to double check. There's nothing bad that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is somebody sends you a nasty email. But if you're running anything, just always do that extra bit of legwork, because that was something that was totally missing from Magic Online, certainly, and in all of Magic journalism in general. There was no journalistic principles to be like, oh, everybody's saying this thing. Do I just run the fact that everybody's saying this thing, or do I actually send an email to Brian? Send an email to Brian. I find that piece of information that happens to clear everything up. It's just like, oh, it's one sentence. I taught it to Danny. Oh, okay. Well, then here we go. He taught it to Danny, so that's that. Everything's cool. And then Brian, because you are so great at waxing rhapsodic about that moment.
So of course, I'm all excited. This is my first, as I always thought about it. I remember thinking, that being part of Revision 3, being part of that network, being part of the new media revolution, I just remember thinking a seat at the table, a seat at the table. I finally have a seat at the table. I finally have some vehicle where I could prove myself and maybe establish my own fan base or whatever. And then first thing out of the gate, giant controversy. Justin Wright's like, hey, man, you got anything you want to say about this? I don't know who you are. This is literally the first time we're ever connecting since we did that phone interview. It's not like the two of us are going to become legendary comedy partners with multiple Billboard #1 comedy albums. I'm just a journalist. You're just a magician who possibly ripped off a marketed effect and is profiting from it on his brand new magic series.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about exposure yet.
Yeah. And that's at that point, that was, I mean, when I hit send, that was at least 50% of the expectation was he'd be like, I had never seen this DVD. Like, who is this? Daniel Garcia? Oh, I'll have to Google him. He looks like a fine chap.
Spider-Bite in the chat is saying that you were very specific and very wrong when you said all of those things. But then, so I go back and of course I'm hitting refresh like, oh my God, controversy. The last thing I want is magicians upset with me. And then I just see the article update with edit. It's been cleared up. Brian taught it to Daniel. There is no controversy. They are both viceroys in the kingdom of awesome. And like that phrase, viceroys in the kingdom of awesome, was the warmest blanket hug I've ever received from journalism ever.
It is really remarkable how little effort it took with iTricks to be the place in which the top of the industry would come to for news simply by not being a dickhead. Like extending even the most basic elements of, forget journalism, like kindness or like benefit of the doubt. Like it was like it's just the very shreds of humanity. And immediately it's like David Copperfield is talking to me about him reading the site. And like it went from like 0 to 60, where the next like magic convention that I had gone to, it was just like everybody was like, oh yeah, iTricks. Like they were already eye rolling because they had all read it. And it's like, whoa, I just started blogging like 5 days ago.
The iTricks establishment, really the MSM of...
Yeah.
It's funny because I wonder how much of being a magician causes you to be scanning for all of the angles of deceit. And it causes you to unfairly, like I can picture at a party of magicians, one walking up to another saying, so saying hello, shaking hands. What's the angle here? You know,
yeah. Well, no, there was the weirdest thing because obviously I had no history of magic, but Andrew, who was publishing the site, did. And so we would go and meet up with other magicians and stuff like that. And Andrew would always do what I thought at the time was him being just a proud parent, you know, metaphorically, and just being like, oh, this is Justin. He writes iTricks. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. It's a dumb blog. Who reads it? And then I realized very quickly that whether or not they were excited or they rolled their eyes, they all read it. Like Andrew was letting them know that that this was the person that they were reading.
This is when you go from being flattered that you got invited to the party to realizing that you've been hired as muscle, that you're there as a veiled threat at all times.
Oh, I mean, geez. I don't know if I've ever really told the there were a couple stories of where like famous magicians would call and ask for like comments to be removed. Like the names, comments,
not articles, not articles to be corrected.
No, because I wrote the line in the sand was, if it was a big ugly story, I would just run the copy from somebody gets arrested or something like that. I would just run the AP, whatever, like the most dry news copy, and just credit the other source and put a headline. That was it. No spiking the football, blah, blah, blah. So like even the nasty stuff, no one ever told me, hey, take this down, because I was always like so dry about it. The only stuff we would get called because somebody would be a dick in the comments or would expose something in the comments. And we're talking, if you were to name 5 magicians, it's one of those names that called, I mean, probably at least 2 or 3 of those names called to have comments removed.
Wow.
I mean, I guess that's what the territory that comes with when there's only
So
10
what,
magicians
Penn,
to begin with.
Teller, and Matt King. Constantly up on your junk. Super brittle.
Well, I mean, that even is before you talk about all the top magicians that were commenters, and some of them were a little bit more cloak and dagger about it. At least one of those names definitely used his real email address.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Magicians. Super
Tech savvy.
And not fast to reactions.
Well, no, yeah, and it wasn't a bad thing. It was just people. It's something that I still have a hard time wrapping my head around. That like, man, a lot of people that I really had no clue what they meant to their peers and how hard they've worked to get into the positions they were. Boy, did they like reading what a sweaty 20-something in Margate was writing about. It is kind of crazy.
You know what this what's funny is I want to dance around spoilers for season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows, because I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it. So
You're terrible. You always say, I'm not going to give any spoilers.
yeah, this is not a spoiler, but Rosebud's the sled.
Yeah,
It's
I
not a
know.
spoiler.
Not even.
It's not a spoiler.
There's
Moving
a character
on. Moving on.
in the beginning of
Moving
season
on.
2 who is cool, and he's cool specifically because he says he's not really interested in a thing. And it reminds me of the coolest magicians who are cool because they don't want the thing.
And that is not a spoiler. That's a very innocuous information.
Good.
That's pretty good. Okay.
All right, we got one last email here from Austin. Austin writes, "Hey, Diamond Crew. I am sure we're all looking for ways to fill our free times besides the almighty happy hour. Of course, that's Night Attack Happy Hour every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central here at twitch.tv/Night Attack. Do you guys have any books or audiobooks that you would like to recommend? I have loved both of your recommendations in the past, although I read mostly nonfiction. Anything will do. P.S. I would love it if, once the beans spill from all these failed political campaigns, you do another political book club. Jerry, I had a lot of fun with the previous one. Austin XOXO.
Do you have like a go-to nonfiction book that you love?
Yeah, I mean, I would say politically, if you haven't read the Game Change books, read the Game Change books. If you haven't read Primary Colors, read Primary Colors.
Does that? I guess Primary Colors seems like it just doesn't seem like 20 plus years after the fact I would care, but it holds up.
Oh yeah. No, that one's good. I mean, like you have to remember that a lot of the like super vindictive Clinton mythology is born in that book. You know, like that story. This is not a spoiler.
There's a character who wants a thing, and that thing is to be president, and it's Clinton.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, Primary Colors is about a fictional campaign for which all of the characters have very clear real life counterparts, including Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, James Carville. Like they are kind of probably heightened up to, you know, gigantic cartoonish levels, but the icy, if you like that, like Game of Thrones, oh god damn it, what was the House of Cards, like if you like that level, super vindictive, no soul politics stuff, like that's a great story. And also the fact that it was written by a guy who was a guy on the bus for the Clintons and is basically about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton adds like an extra little fun level to it.
Yeah. What about you, Bonnie? Do you have a nonfiction book that changed your world?
Yes. I would say,
Man, I wanted to
Bible.
see her stand up, turn that chair around, sit on it, ants legs, and drop some V's on us. Well, the V's are vaginas.
Oh. She started doing that before we finished that. Okay, there you go.
I can do that. Listen, let me tell you, I read nothing but nonfiction. I read How Cute Are Cats? I read Dinosaurs You Should Know. I read cute cats too.
I know. I want to see how long she can go.
I read puppies are cuter than cats, and here's why.
I read Renaigu. I read the Buck _ I read Scoopernova Girl.
Yeah.
No,
I read
it's
camera.
ridiculous.
I read microphone. I read monitor.
I read that thing in my eye. I read, oh, that's other thing in my eye. Wait, no, it moved.
What about you, Bryce?
I'm not I don't read. I don't read. I'm not I will say, as someone who, this is not a nonfiction pick, but as someone who really enjoys the Blade Runner film, I think Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a fantastic book that is very different from the movie, and it's kind of a whole different thing, and has like a lot more stuff. So I dig that.
Have you entered, much like the word grok from Stranger in a Strange Land became kind of universal for like to understand on a very deep connective level? To me, I grokked the word kipple in that particular short story, and I all I see is the continuous kippleization of planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean Kipple, the digital detritus, basically, or was it also physical?
It was sort of the physical embodiment of the
junk data.
heat death of the universe. I think it was like in physical and informational form, because I seem to remember a junkyard being referred to as full of kipple.
There's a little bit of that. I don't know that that's in the common lexicon as much as like grok does. The one thing that I really dig about it is the extra storyline that they cut from the movie because it's completely different, is the Alex Mercer stuff. And now anytime I see something named Mercer, I think, oh yeah, sci-fi reference, haha.
Well,
like even like
I've
Tales
totally
from the
forgotten
Loop.
the Alex Mercer stuff.
It's that's the whole like biblical versus corporate God storyline where there's a fake Jesus and his name was Alex Mercer, and people experience him by putting on a helmet and living first person his fucking crucifixion, and he is that idea is like attacked upon by this radio DJ that's on the air 46 hours a day, and I'm doing a hand thing to signify that there's more story to that.
Yeah.
And so like even Tales from the Loop, right? It takes place in Mercer, Ohio. Oh, it's very high-techy and kind of dystopian. So
Do you think that was an intentional reference they were making?
Almost certainly,
Okay.
I would say. I would say so. But Mercer, it might be the name of a town in Ohio. I don't know. Who knows? No one lives in Ohio. So, so I'm sorry to all the Ohioans. You don't exist.
Just ask any voter. Hey-o, you can find one.
So that's my pick. Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
By the way, Mercer, definitely a county in Ohio.
But not a town.
It is an unincorporated community in Mercer County. So yes, it is a town.
Do they have robots?
Yeah.
though?
Answer the question, counselor.
We need to know. Thank you. Any other last picks?
No. I do. Real quick, this is my standard answer. I've talked about them so much, but there was a trilogy that was truly life-changing for me. None of them knew that they were all related to each other, but in order, I read The Rational Optimist, that made the shocking case that not only are things better than you think, they're better than they've ever been, and by all indications, they're going to be better forever and ever. I followed that up with Abundance, which doubled down on that with a bunch of concrete in-the-moment examples. And then I read Steven Pinker's Better Angels of Our Nature, which was a big, very long, very tough slog with very graphic depictions of very awful things that humanity used to pass off as entertainment until Night Attack came along. So on behalf of humanity, you're welcome. It's great. Like, we live in the most peaceful time, even including the 20th century with World Wars I and II, still the most peaceful time in the entire history of humanity, and it's only getting more peaceful. It's insane.
There we go. So a bunch of picks. Hope that helped. Austin, if you've got an email, a question, any sort of comment, feedback, what have you, send it into mail@nightattack.tv, and we might read it here in the mailbag section of the show, which is the end of the show, which is Mike.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I like the parts where we could both talk and hear each other as if we're in the same room, Justin.
I agree, Brian. I can cut you off right there.
Hold on 1 second. I see where you're headed, but allow me to pontificate on something Renaigu
But
told
Brian,
me.
what would you consider to be the things we've learned today?
Man, we learned that tech stuff, as difficult as it's been, is just getting better and better, and we love our patrons.
We've learned that one day, maybe next week, you'll tell the Josie magic trick story.
We learned that Bonnie is the very best at J Party.
And of course, we learned that Audible is technically reading.
You're goddamn right, man. Don't even come at me with that. Look, we love you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Die in a fire.
Oh, man, who's the bit boss?
Our bit boss with 3,102 bits is Jordan DeMoss. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jordan.
homie.
I'm allergic to bees.
Hey, Justin, just for tons. Sorry, take two.
tongue?
Just for fun. Just for tons. Talk over the music. Just whisper.
Hey,
Every time you go,
hey, go fuck yourself, music.
Also,
Hey, I've been,
I owe an apology.
I've said this every week, but fuck you, music.
I texted
Fuck
Matt.
you.
Matt
After
Donovan.
show.
It was RJ that screwed it up.
night attack,
He was just kind enough to roll with it. We love you, Ice Cream Social. We steal because we love you.
attack, night attack,
You know, both podcasts are Viceroys in the Kingdom of Awesome.
night attack. I love you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.